The evolution of the Finger Lakes Opera has been exciting to behold over the past several years. Here to tell us more about it are the Executive Director, Elizabeth Long, and the Head of Music, Brock Chosvold. Thank you so much for coming to join us here in the Spotlight.
Our
it's
pleasure.
wonderful to see you.
Yes, thank you for having us.
So opera in the summer in Rochester, New York?
Yes.
Yes.
Exciting as that.
It's wonderful.
Oh my, but it's a different company, I think, than it has been in recent years. When did the company start, first of all?
Well, so my box speech is Finger Lakes Opera was founded in 2012, and they gave their first performance, which was really a concert. It was a full orchestra and 4 singers, soprano, mezzo, tenor, baritone, in 2013. And at that concert, toward the end, they announced our first fully staged production will be next year, and that was 2014, and that was Carmen. Flow exists really as an arm of SUNY Geneseo for the first 4 years of its existence. And so they did 3 summers of full opera, started to add a few extras, and then the organization had to make a decision, do we want to continue doing this? And if so, we have to go nonprofit. We're going to make some changes. And obviously they decided, yes, we'd like to be nonprofit. They moved the operation to Canandaigua, and for 3 seasons were performed at the Canandaigua Academy, and which is a beautiful hall, although it's in a high school. Now, they operated primarily with seasonal staff, right? And the founder and artistic director at that time, Gerard Floriano. But in 2018, they applied and got a workforce investment grant from the New York State Council on the Arts, and I'm the result.
Oh.
I was hired in March with that initial funding, and it was to begin to professionalize the staff, the administrative staff, and to have somebody year-round. So that was 2019. I came 1 year before the world shut down in the pandemic, so I did have the experience of seeing Finger Lakes Opera and how it had been operating. It was our last year in Canandaigua. We did La Boheme that summer, and then the pandemic hit, and so we did what many people did. We did online performances and tried to keep music going as best we could. We committed to bringing back live performance in 2021. And almost all our productions that summer were outdoors, which was a challenge and not something I would probably repeat, just because, even if for nothing else, the weather, the stress of having to wonder if we're going to have to cancel and do a rain date. As you can imagine, with opera, having that kind of putting all that work in and then the possibility that it might get canceled, it's a lot. So, but it was at that point that we started to focus our efforts past the summer in ways like community engagement. And things started to grow so that the community engagement that we do, whether it's recitals at elder care homes, community centers, in collaboration with other arts organizations, we would start doing that in February and go year-round, with obviously the bulk of what we do being the summer. But when Finger Lakes Opera moved from an organization affiliated with SUNY Geneseo, became nonprofit in its first season, 2017. They did 2 performances of Tosca, and this year we will do, our summer festival is 7 events, 2 of which are free, and then year-round we have over 40 other events. So the growth has been exponential. And trying to manage that staff-wise has been challenging, exciting, but so it's really, really great. And Brock speaks to some of this growth. When Finger Lakes, I met Brock in 2019, my first year, and he came to Finger Lakes Opera as a collaborative pianist with one of our young artists at the time, who now works for us. And Brock has held so many different roles with the company: collaborative pianist, vocal coach, cover conductor. And so when our founder, Jerry Floriano, announced that he would be leaving last summer, we knew we had people that had been working with the organization that were really well poised to step into some new roles, and roles that we really needed. We need people that can work year-round on things like programming, something as simple as programming for an engagement event, because Lord knows you don't want me doing that part. Okay, man. So Brock is one of 2 new artistic staff. I mean, we took the position that Jerry had and we added. And that's how much we've grown. So Brock oversees, is as head of music, and I'll let him talk about that. And then our new artistic director is Stephanie Havey. So it's exciting and explosive and great.
So you have a main stage production.
We do.
And then educational and community engagement. Where do people learn about all this? What's your website, for instance?
Our website address is pretty easy, fingerlakesopera.org.
So they should look there we have some images of your current production and the artists this summer. And they'll be able to see through the year what your offerings are.
Exactly, yes.
So how do you find your artists?
Oh, many different ways. One of the things we've been really, really proud of is the growth in our Young Artist Program specifically. So a little bit about our Young Artist Program. It really serves as both a chance for kind of emerging artists to start getting their feet into the professional world while still getting some sort of support in a sort of educational basis. So it's a little bit of both. It's kind of that transition period. So they are brought in as paid guest artists, so they're making money. It is a job, but also with guest master classes and vocal coachings from the music staff, performance opportunities outside of the main stage. Those kind of building the skills, often talking about resume building, singing for agents, that sort of thing, kind of helping them get into the door that way. And so our Young Artist Program has grown, and that is, we have open auditions, open calls for that. This year we had about 550 applicants for 6 studio artist spots. We've also started a new level called the Apprentice Artist level. That is another 6 spots, so 12 total. But this is geared more towards younger singers, usually more local singers, so that we can kind of build this relationship with singers in Rochester. Because one of the things we feel really strongly about is this combination of bringing in, absolutely world-class singers that will do the roles justice that we want to do, but also in combination with all the world-class singing we have right here in Rochester, right? We have such a great musical community here. So this new Apprentice Artist Program has kind of allowed us to highlight both, right? So we're bringing in fabulous people from all over the world, and we're also highlighting our fabulous singers right here in Rochester. So that's all to say that usually those young artists are who often in the main stage production will do maybe not the lead role always, but they'll do many of the other roles to fill out the cast.
Mario.
Yeah, and then but we've started last summer and also this summer giving them their own production.
Yes.
So we actually have 2 shows. One is for the young artists to have the leads. So the show really is the young artist show. And then we'll do a bigger production where we hire out more professionals in the industry and have them on stage with them. So they really get both experiences, being in the lead role and also being in supporting roles with more seasoned performers out there, which is a really great thing for them too. So, you know, in terms of hiring out, sometimes our leads, when we do bring in outside people, our new artistic director, Stephanie Havey, she's really wonderful. She has a great sense of who's out and about and who she's heard. But again, even our hired professionals that we have this year especially all have Rochester connections. So, you know, our leads in Rigoletto, Joshua Conyers, he teaches right here at Eastman and lives in Rochester full-time. Jasmine Saunders, who is Gilda this summer, grew up in Rochester. She's a Rochester native, attended Eastman as an undergraduate, went on to Juilliard, now is in the Met Lindemann Young Artist Program, just had her Met debut. And, you know, her family's right here in Rochester.
Right. And when we talked about what is going to be the first summer festival, what are the primary operas that we're going to do, when Brock, Stephanie, and I talked about it, Stephanie said, I'm interested in Rigoletto and I want Jasmine. So she had, when we talk about how do we decide in this, ironically, you know, when you look at photos of Barbara Isabel, there's Jasmine in the back, and now she comes to the front. And those are things that are really important to Stephanie and Brock and me and Flo. You know, if we have this talent, she doesn't live here anymore, but she grew up here. Why are we not highlighting it? And I think it's something in this community that we need to be better about, is there are people that live here who are international, that tour all over, and yet we often will spend time bringing people in. Other organizations do it too, and not just nonprofit. You know, you'll bring in this talent, and when you've got it here. So, but yes, in term, go ahead, Brock.
Yeah, well, it also, what I'm so excited about in Jasmine's case, for example, is she's at the beginning of this really, really exciting career. You know, she just had her Met debut, like I said. But for us to be able to offer her a role like Gilda, which is a big, you know, a big thing for any soprano's, you know, resume, role, a lifetime role, we really can serve as like a big step in that progression for her, you know, to give her that role in real time and have that experience in a professional setting. It's mutually beneficial, right? We get this amazing young artist.
It is.
We're also, you know, sort of contributing to the trajectory she's on. So it's something we're really excited about. And this has been, you know, going on in the last couple of years too. You know, last summer we had Kirsten Piper Brown was our lead and our world premiere of Two Corners. 2 summers ago in Aida, we had Alina O'Connor, who's, you know, another world-class soprano with Rochester connections. So it's been really exciting.
You know quite well.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Kirsten too.
Yes,
of course,
exactly.
Of course.
So that's been really exciting to just be building more of these relationships with these world-class musicians that have these Rochester connections.
Now, are your productions produced with the orchestra?
Yes, yep. And so both productions will be with orchestra. And I believe in the past always have been. There have been some sort of smaller productions that have been with piano. But
generally the ones that are in a concert hall on stage always has a live orchestra. And this summer we have Brock making his conducting debut in The Anonymous Lover. Going forward, because as now our founder, who used to be the conductor, we are bringing somebody in for Rigoletto. So it is, we still preserve, and we really want to preserve the beauty of having that live music as opposed to canned. And yes, there are companies that do it. And I mean, more power to them because they're doing it. But because, you know, having an orchestra adds quite an expense, as you know as well. So.
But we feel strongly too that, especially now that our Young Artist program has become so competitive, we feel that we really owe it, you know, to these young artists that we bring in to have a true professional opera experience. And that's sort of a non-negotiable really for us with the orchestra.
It is.
That's why they're coming here, is to be a part of a full opera production, and that Rochester really deserves that experience to have the full production right here in town, you know, and we want to be able to offer that they can get world-class complete productions of operas right here in Rochester.
Right.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, where do your productions take place?
Yeah, it's
What a good,
Always
great question.
Always
Yeah.
a
what
challenging issue. for
a
opera.
good question.
Well, for
So
opera in particular.
I will tell you that this summer in particular, this represents the 5th venue we've been at 5 years. Now, that is an incredible challenge, obviously production-wise, because you have to recreate the wheel every summer. We were at Canandaigua Academy, and when the pandemic happened and we knew we wanted to continue to produce, but we had to be outside, we were at the outdoor amphitheater in Perrington. It's actually a really fabulous outdoor show, but I will say that it served its purpose, but it was to an extent also like trying to put, again, it's opera, it's full-blown opera. The orchestra had to be behind the scenery.
Difficult.
There were challenges. When we came back to indoor, we've been at Eastman Kodak, we've been at RBTL, which I believe is now West Her Auditorium Theater. Last year we were at MCC.
Well, that's Monroe Community College.
Pardon me. Yes, Monroe Community College. This year we're going to be at the Panara Theater, which is located on the campus of the Rochester Institute of Technology. We hope that, our goal clearly is to find a home for our operas. There are other events, as I've said, in the Summer Festival, because our objective is to try and build community and to go in to new spaces. But for our operas, we want to be in the same place. Can you imagine the challenge for our patrons? Where are you this year? Where? So the efforts that have to be expended not just on production but marketing. So we're still in that challenge right now in working with RIT. They're phenomenal. They have a phenomenal staff. They have a new hall that is going to be opening in the next year. That is could be a really good option for us. But that's where we are now. Eric, you know this. When there are not a lot of sites that can mount the kind of productions that we do. And so we will often get questions when I go into the community. People in the audience will say, well, have you ever thought about this? Or have you ever thought? But there are so many things you have to have a recess pit. You have to have wing and fly space. Dressing rooms. Right. You think those things are obvious? They're not.
Well, many challenges.
You know that.
Yeah, many challenges.
So
we're about actually out of the time that we have
Sure.
for this today. But please tell us before we go,
Yeah.
real quick, what's your website again, and how do people find you and support you?
Yes, thank you. It's fingerlakesopera.org.
And there are productions year-round, and,
There are.
and community education, and
Yes.
summer festival each year. Well, thank you so much for being with us.
my
Brock
gosh,
Schoesvold,
thank you.
head of music, Elizabeth Long, the executive director of the Finger Lakes Opera. Thank you for joining us in the spotlight today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Recent developments have been very exciting to watch at the Finger Lakes Opera. Here to tell me more about them is the incoming artistic director, Stephanie Havey. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me in the spotlight today.
Thank you, Eric. Nice to be here.
So opera has been part of the scene in Rochester during the summertime for several years now. And tell me what's special about the opera experience in Rochester during the summer?
Well, Rochester's a beautiful place to be in the summer, and our opera company has been producing opera in the area for the past 10 years, and now we're really focusing our performances in the downtown Rochester community. We perform at several venues. This year, we will be featuring our main stage productions at RIT, Rochester
Institute of Technology. Okay.
That's right. And we will also be performing at Artisan Works and we'll be performing at a series of churches, and we do community performances throughout the year as well.
So it's not just summers, it's also year-long offering.
That's right. We've expanded our performances to include programming throughout the year.
Mm-hmm. Now, is this opera in the original language, for instance, Italian opera in Italian?
So we have a variety of performances that we offer. Our main stage productions in the summer are performed in the original languages. So we have 2 main stage operas this year. We're doing Verdi's Rigoletto, and it will be in the original language of Italian. We're also doing a production called The Anonymous Lover, or L'Amant Anonyme. And this is a piece from the 18th century, but it was recently rediscovered in the last 5 years. So in a way, it's new to the opera repertoire and new to many opera goers. And this piece will be performed in French, but there is spoken dialogue, and we decided to do the dialogue in English because it is a comedy, and we want our audiences to have that immediacy of the comedy. So we decided to do the dialogue in English.
So is this a profile for coming summers as well? One more traditional opera and something a little lighter, for instance?
Yes, we like to make sure that we're featuring something that would be considered grand opera, something very dramatic from the traditional repertoire. We know that a lot of our audience members in the Rochester area really love traditional opera, and they love the grand opera and the drama. So that's core to our mission. But something else that's very important to us is introducing new works and lesser known works, and also featuring new composers. And that is done in a variety of ways. But this season, as I mentioned, we decided to focus on a piece that's new to the repertoire, but it's in fact an 18th century opera, very similar to the style of Mozart. So it will sound very familiar to listeners in terms of the musical style. But the composer, Joseph Boulogne, is a Black composer who was very prominent in France in the 18th century. So we really wanted audiences to learn about this very influential composer whose opera works had been hidden from us for centuries and only rediscovered in the last few years.
That's a very exciting development. Now, opera is a complex art. It involves lighting and scenery and costumes. So tell us more about what an audience member is likely to find when they come to your production.
Yes, our productions are fully staged. And what we mean by that is that we create full sets for them. We have lighting, we have costumes. And we really want the audience to have a complete theatrical experience when they come to join us for one of our performances.
And this is professional opera or volunteer performers, or are they paid?
It is professional opera. So we hold auditions every year in New York City, and we hear over 500 singers every season, and we select just a handful to join us in Rochester. So we believe that we're drawing the top talent from around the country and also from several other countries. We get applicants and folks auditioning coming from several other countries as well. And we bring the best talent to Rochester. And something that we're very proud of is that we also love to feature local talent. And as I'm sure many of you know, that in the Rochester community, there are many professional opera singers in town. So we love to feature local talent, but we also are always on the search for new, young, exciting talent rising in the field, and so that we can bring them to Rochester to share with our audiences.
Now, are these performances with orchestra?
Yes, they are. Both of the main stage productions that will be presented at RIT this year are with full orchestra.
That's the profile for seasons to come, that, fully staged in costumes. That's a wonderful thing. So now, if I've never been to an opera and I don't know if this experience is for me, what advice do you have?
Well, one resource that I'll mention is on our website, actually, fingerlakesopera.org. We've added a new page that you can see right at the top on our menu. It says New to Opera. And if you visit this page, it will answer a lot of the frequently asked questions, like, number one, what to wear? That's the first question that we answer. Some people like to get dressed up to attend the opera, but especially as we're presenting in the summer, we want you to come and feel comfortable. People come to the opera dressed very casually, as if you're going to the movie theater. Some people like to wear business casual or cocktail attire. All of those things are acceptable. So we really want you to feel comfortable. Also, some other things to know about coming to the opera. As we mentioned, the operas sometimes are performed in foreign languages. Rigoletto will be in Italian, Anonymous Lover will be in French. We do provide super titles or subtitles, you might think of them as. We call them super because we project them above the stage. So we call them super titles, but they are an English translation of what you are hearing in real time. So you will always know what's going on. We also provide a synopsis of the story in the program book when you arrive. So I recommend coming a few minutes early, grabbing a program, and just reading through the plot synopsis before it starts. And that way you'll feel ahead of the game and very comfortable.
That's wonderful. And so is there a place where people can volunteer, or do you take interns during the summer to help with the productions?
We do have some interns. We work closely with the Eastman School of Music Arts Administration program. And so we frequently have interns coming to us from that program, and we do have 2 interns working with us this summer. We also have an organization called Friends of Flow. This is new this year. We've just started. And this is our outlet for volunteers who would like to get involved, to be at the performances, welcome new people, and also plan some of our social events.
That's wonderful. And how about the emerging artists? Do they relate to the community in a special way?
Yes, so our Young Artist program is thriving and growing. We now have 2 tiers for that program. And as I mentioned, we hear those auditions in New York every year, and that's where we draw our studio artists from. They're coming from all over the world. But we have a new program called the Apprentice Artists. And these are artists who are local. Many of them are college students, either at the undergraduate or graduate level in colleges around the Rochester area. So many of them are local, and they love to have their friends and family in the audience, and also to join us for a lot of the social events that we do.
And what do you have over the horizon, Stephanie, for Finger Lakes 10 years and beyond?
Yes, well, like I said, we are very passionate about presenting grand opera. We're also passionate about presenting new works and telling new stories. So we are known for working with composers and librettists, and this is something that we hope to pursue going forward. We want to make sure that we're presenting opera that connects to our community, that represents our community, and so that means providing a variety of stories and a variety of musical styles. So that's something that we're really prioritizing in the future.
So representation is important to you.
Absolutely.
And reflecting your community in your productions and in your audience, and it's a wonderful thing. Well, this has been very exciting to speak with you today. Well, congratulations on your position with Finger Lakes Opera. Good luck for this coming summer and for all the summers in the future. And thank you so much for telling us more about the opera experience in general. Our guest has been Stephanie Havey. She's the artistic director of Finger Lakes Opera. Tell us your website just one more time for people to follow along.
No problem. Our website is fingerlakesopera.org.
Well, we wish you all the very best of success, and thanks again, Stephanie, for coming into the spotlight
Thanks so much, Eric.
Good to meet you.